Hij paste totaal niet in het plaatje van hoe een voetballer zou moeten zijn. Hij had gewoon hele andere interesses ook.
Als je hem ziet hè, met zijn baardje en zijn wilde haren, hè, het is een beetje zo'n alternatieveling leek het meer. Hè. En, nee, het was totaal niets van een voetballer. Hij hoorde ook niet in die wereld.
Het was net zo'n iemand die bungee jump, weet je wel. De ene keer zat hij hier en de andere keer zat hij helemaal bijna op de rotsen.
To be honest, Jacob wasn't. He was playing like a professional football player, but he wasn't living as one.
I would say he was, if you could think of someone like Ronaldo, who had a lot of really good ability, and then he probably took it up an extra level by working hard. That's the kind of player Jacob, to me, was. That he had to consistently play hard and consistently train hard. Even if he was playing at a high level, this had to happen. Otherwise, his level would, I think, drop.
I think my story could be seen as a warning, maybe. And also sometimes just sharing a story, sharing the experience. You know, I lived a life that not many other kids did in Canada. And, you know, the risks involved, you know, along the way. There are a lot of pitfalls that you could fall into. And I thought, you know, maybe if one kid, you know, hears my story and either, you know, avoids some of the mistakes that I made, then it might be worth it, you know?
I think I've got Jacob's jersey here, actually, which he sent to me when he was playing with Utrecht. Oh yeah, here we are. I always said I was going to frame it. But yeah, here's his number 36. Whoops. Yeah, magic. Utrecht. Superb. Very, very good. Very good. Not many Canadian players can say they've done that. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. The old, almost like a superhero uniform, you know what I mean? A costume. That's actually one of the funny, you know, people ask me what I missed about being a soccer player. And it was almost always the ritual before a game, you know, putting on the socks, the hype, the electricity among the players, you know, the team talk. You know, people have their own little niche or kind of unique rituals themselves. So it's kind of interesting watching how somebody, you know, do it before a game, put their head under a towel for 20 minutes, or you get the guy that, you know, needs to talk with everybody, you know, kind of releasing his nervous energy. And you get the guy that's the fucking, you know, the boss of the dressing room strutting in. Why did it have to end? You know, I just thought there was a better opportunity for me in Canada. No, obviously it was in the newspaper, which wasn't very nice, but you know, self-destructing, coming in late, missing trainings. Shit, where was I again? I kind of went off.
So Jacob asked me to find a few pictures of him when he was a baby, so this is the beginning of his life, and...
Does it up more, I guess?
Yes. Again, Jacob just crawling on a carpet. And happy child playing on a beach.
That's where it all went downhill.
No, not yet.
My mom, yeah. I mean, my mom's an angel for raising me, and the unconditional love that she gives me.
He was a very happy child. He loved to train soccer and play it, and
Wait.
as you can see.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Good toothless smile. Can you see?
Okay, you do that. You're
This
better.
one?
Yeah.
Ah, so good looking.
It's let's say beginning of his soccer training as a 6-year-old.
Where is this?
It's in Vancouver. I remember the occasion.
It reminds me of like the road trip that we had down to Disneyland.
No. This is not Disneyland. This is
I know, but it reminds
training
me.
center. Yeah.
Because my dad would always give me this soccer ball, and he would order my mom to make sure every day I had to juggle the ball at least 20 times. I think it was very, very important, you know. And during our road trip down to Disneyland, speak of the devil, and he shall appear. So this is the man himself, the creator, the architect, the brain behind my development. Obviously, in Canada, there's no real measuring stick, right? There's nobody here to really compare you and tell you if you're doing it or if you're good enough to actually become a professional in Europe. So, you know, my dad kind of was an outsider here, kind of a maverick, you know, outside of the system. And you know, how many trainings have we had on the field together? Just me and him. Obviously, we'll go to the soccer field and actually show you what we did. But yeah, that's where all the magic.
I haven't seen you in ages.
What's up?
How are you?
How's it going?
Long time no see.
Long time no see. How are things? All right?
Yeah, good.
I was training his brother, and that's how I got to know his dad. And then his dad gave me a ring and said, you know, I've got my son, Jacob, very good player. I'd like you to start seeing him, and I'd like you to train him 2 or 3 times per week because we want to get him ready for playing at a high level.
How's the dungeon? A lot of tortured souls on the racks?
Yeah, well, we're just watching the Champions League right now.
Oh,
Yeah, remember when you used to play in that? Yeah, remember? It was Europa though, wasn't it? Not the Champions League. Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Mertens en Lenski combineren. Lenski sterk.
That was the first time when I was walking out onto the pitch, I was like, nah, yeah, now I feel like a pro. You know, that was like, I made it now. I'm a professional. The family that I lived with were always making fun of my decision to leave Celtic, and then I was, after the 4-0, kind of send that text back, yeah, made the good choice then, eh? Yeah.
Maguire! 4-0!
Gutalami played for Ajax. He was about 10 years old. He played for a youth team, the tournament, and he played against Feyenoord. And Feyenoord had Drenthe playing as a forward. You know, it was phenomenal. What Drenthe could learn, you know, naturally, we had to sort of emulate and do it artificially a little bit, you know, like mechanically, you know, learning by repetition and so on.
Yeah, it was a program. What we did, we saw each other 3-4 times a week at one point, especially leading up to the Celtic tryout. Because one of the things we sorted was playing in the Canadian soccer, the speed was far slower than you would need in Europe. So that's why the training had to go quite up,
exactly,
right?
Exactly. We had to do our own standard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we looked like
quite high as well.
Of course, we looked like psychopaths to everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, you see a lot of guys here, and still it happens where, you know, they feel like they're superstars because they scored 20 goals in their youth league, but that means nothing over here, you know.
Well, there's a day where you wouldn't have remembered when I was I had a whole pile of footballers over, and they were all meant to be high level. You were the highest level, but you know, there was some national boys in that group, and what we did is we did testing, and that's when I realized how much, even though you didn't look like you were faster, you were like a second faster in the agility. Yeah. When we were doing the shooting, you were always hitting the targets, so technically you were better. And everything we did, it was always like you were always quite a few levels above the other lads, even though they were all meant to be very high-level players. I didn't think it was like a Lindsey Vonn type training program where we're going to make him into a pro player here. That wasn't my thinking, or I don't think his thinking, but it could have been his dad's thinking, because he was definitely very skilled, and his dad's great man, and he could see it. His older brother Phil was also a very good player, and probably saw some of the mistakes that was made with Phil, and I thought, okay, I'm not going to make sure this is not going to happen with Jacob.
When I signed this first professional contract, that was kind of that. I still remember that moment. I knew I trained super well, and I was kind of super anxious at home in my hotel room, waiting for that phone to ring. And I was actually in the bath when I kind of ran naked across my room to the phone, and it was my dad picking up the phone on the other end, and he said, well, like, he said something like, what did you do out there? And I was like, what? And he's like, 3 year, they want to offer you 3 year contract, a 3 year professional contract. And at that moment, that was really kind of a super, elation, a whole, really, really difficult 15 years leading up to that point. And now, finally, I can call myself a professional.
Well, we work very hard. I work very hard, 10, 11 years to get him there. So, it was satisfaction, right? Yeah.
Well, he was 15 at the time, and I believe if you are talented and you cannot progress where you are, you just have to go where the opportunity is. With Celtic, he was staying in a family, so I didn't really worry. And then after a year or so, he got opportunity with Feyenoord, which I believe was a wrong step.
My dad saved this article that came out when I was just getting there. Lenski, incredible talent. It was so miserable there is why I didn't feel a part of the team whatsoever. I didn't feel included. I felt not even just included, just really isolated on purpose. You know what I mean? Like I felt, there's a really malicious intent behind it, whispers.
They didn't like me.
And it was I felt completely unnecessary and uncalled for. Like I was always, I don't know, maybe
I would call it big club politics.
I don't know. You're almost the ball boy, carrying stuff to training. You're just seen as, and once even though you're playing for a club like Feyenoord, when you're treated with that kind of respect, you kind of see yourself as less than nothing.
Yeah, whenever he was coming from. For a summer holiday, and he was supposed to go back. He said, "Oh, I hate it," and then this and that. So we started seeing, some not very healthy signs of, he was supposed to be excited about it, going back and doing his job, and he didn't like it. So, yeah, yeah.
And it started to manifest, and showing up late, maybe not showing up for training at all. I was always kind of at Celtic, I was the one that never drank. I was really quick to respond. I was kind of like the model student type thing. And it was in Feyenoord where it started to fall apart, didn't show up to training, wasn't really caring what I was doing at training. And that was kind of that intentional self-destruction to my career, I was really unhappy. And maybe I didn't do it fully consciously, okay, now I'm going to really tear things apart. But it was maybe like a sense of control, and I didn't have any control of things around me, so I'm going to get that back by intentionally sabotaging it. So rather than you making me feel like shit, I'm just going to do it myself.
I really believe that the loneliness had a big element to it, more than I think Jacob might give credit to. You get bored, you don't have friends, you're in another country. You've got hours and hours, you're fit as a fiddle, you're young, you've got money, and here you are, lonely, It must have played with his head.
It was probably too early for him, and he was offered his own apartment, living by himself, and he just was not ready for that. And I didn't believe anything would happen to him, because we have 2 older sons, never had any problem with them, and Jacob was always a very good kid also. But looking back, I would never let him go again.
When I left Feyenoord, I was like, yeah, I quit soccer, guys. I'm never coming back. Fucking 6 months later, I'm with Utrecht. I'm laughing now, but Feyenoord guys are going to be watching this and being like, yeah, son of a bitch, I hate you. But, you know, that's just the way it is. I genuinely didn't have any intention of going back to play soccer. So welcome to my office. Yeah, so leading the 3 months leading up to my chance, my opportunity that I was going to get at Utrecht, I spent every morning here with my father, or sometimes myself, just using this wall, a ball and a couple cones. We had our like simple drills that I've done since I've been 5 years old. It's a really small slalom. And then there'd be little gates, you know, it'd either be a firm pass on the ground, a drive with my laces, and then, you know, I would collect the rebound and, you know, quickly turn and drive this way. Technique was just so important to really go to Utrecht and be better technically than anybody else. I worked out every single day in my basement, and I had the gym in that room, so I blasted music. It was my dungeon, you know, locked the door, turned down the lights. And I just benched, I worked out, I was a physical specimen, you know, because I know European teams, they're looking for any excuse to say no, because it's a pain in the ass, you know, to like judge them against their players. You really have to be the best. So I wanted to give them absolutely no excuse. I was the fittest, I was the most aggressive, I was the hardest working, you know, and if I did all those things, then, you know, my technique and my talent would shine through, because that you can't hide, you can't fake, you can't hide, you know, that's exposed. On the professional level, yeah, there's no hiding place, right?
Ja, en hij had bij Feyenoord gezeten. En ik dacht dat hij zelfs nog een 1 of 2 testwedstrijden bij Utrecht heeft gespeeld.
Ja, bij Feyenoord overbodig. En ik weet niet of hij zichzelf aandiende of via een zaakwaarnemer. Maar wij dachten, nou, ja, we hebben nog wel aan de linkerkant wat nodig. Ja, en dat bleek qua voetbal een gelukstreffer te zijn.
Stelling bij Lenski. Die ook maar eens schiet. Lenski en dan is het raak. 1-0 Utrecht, het is verdiend.
Hey, Mike. How you doing? Long time no see. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
You don't have too much stuff in the fan shop yet, but yeah, I was surprised when I heard that you were coming here to coach.
Yeah.
This new Canadian Soccer League's competing against the MLS.
Yeah, I remember you when all of a sudden one day, you know, people like talking about this Canadian kid just walking off the street wanted to play here. So I actually went down. I don't know if you know. I went out to watch the second team train one day.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. And I was saying, okay, it won't be long before he's gonna be in our group. Yeah, I remember it because it was such a funny story. Like this, like just like banging on the door saying, "Hey, can I be a part of this?"
Ja, dat was gewoon een fysiek hele sterke jongen. Goed linkerbeen. En je kon ook wel duidelijk zien dat hij er wel bovenuit stak bij degene waar die mee meedeed. En ik denk, we hebben toen ook niet lang nagedacht om hem erbij te nemen. Alhoewel we toen wel bij Feyenoord geïnformeerd hadden hoe die in elkaar stak. Ja, we wisten waar we aan begonnen en dat hij behoorlijk dronk. Ondanks dat hebben we hem toen toch genomen.
Wat hij dus bijvoorbeeld zegt is dat hij het vreselijk vindt, het leven als voetballer. En dat hij zich iedere dag doodergert aan de zinloze leven van zijn medespelers. Hij zegt, al die spelletjes die ze dan spelen, bullshit vind ik het.
Especially the interview that I had with Football International kind of rubbed a lot of people I find the wrong way, or in Holland especially. But, you know, after that interview, I actually had to take the whole group of Utrecht into the dressing room and say, well, because the Utrecht guys were like, is he talking about us? Does he hate us? You know, because I was talking about how I hate all people in soccer and I don't want to talk to anybody. And it really painted things in a really horrible light.
Als hij op de training komt, dan heeft hij een geluidsinstallatie op zijn hoofd. Hij praat met niemand. Tijdens het eten praat hij met niemand. Als de spelers spelletjes gaan doen, gaat hij buiten wandelen in de natuur. Hij heeft met niemand contact, heeft geen behoefte aan contact. De journalist David de Vries is met hem naar huis geweest in Houten. Hij heeft een groot bed in de woonkamer staan. Alleen een bed staat daar. En die heeft geen enkel behoefte aan sociale contacten met wie dan ook.
Yeah, I took all the guys in the dressing room and I said, listen, I've had nothing but good experiences with you guys. I really respect all of you. And Ricky came up to me and he's like, hey, they're really trying to kill you, huh? You know, like they made a joke about it. And that's what I really feel grateful for. A lot of the big guys, the more status guys at Utrecht, were so friendly.
We lieten hem in zijn waarde zoals hij was. Het was gewoon echt een warm bad waar hij in kwam, denk ik. Ik denk niet dat hij een betere selectie had kunnen wensen.
But yeah, I'm not going to lie, it was very satisfying getting that spot and thinking, you know, when I was kicking ass at Utrecht, thinking the guys at Feyenoord were like, damn, we should have treated him or given him a chance more.
Ja, hij had een enorme drive en hij wilde eigenlijk het ongelijk bewijzen bij Utrecht ten aanzien van Feyenoord. En dat deed hij tot op een gegeven een aantal wedstrijden heel goed. Daarbij dachten van nou, we hebben hem op de rit en een goede speler. En daar kunnen we zelfs nog wel geld aan gaan verdienen als hij zich zo door blijft ontwikkelen om een transfer te maken. Totdat.
Hi, I'm Jacob Lenski and welcome to my crib.
I remember seeing, I think it was Utrecht did a documentary on him. It was like that. What's that show called when they go into the cribs? And when they took him into his house and they saw the pizza boxes, and I thought, oh, there's something wrong here, because it wasn't the Jacob I knew when I saw that clip.
All right, so this is my room. You're already standing in it. Yeah, the posters I got just because, mainly because the walls were kind of ugly. The whiskey poster, yeah. Well, when I don't play soccer for last year, I was quite fond of drinking Jack Daniels.
Het begon eigenlijk met het niet opkomen dagen. Gewoon en niks laten horen en ook niet... als je probeerde te bellen, gewoon niet opnemen. Gewoon onbereikbaar. Ik heb ook later wel eens begrepen vanuit de groep... als ze een avondje uit hadden, dan kon die door het lint gaan. Maar dan met de alcohol.
Ik heb wel eens gehoord dat hij aardig bezopen was... en dat hij aan het blackjack of iets van ander kaartspel... en ja, toen werd hij eruit gezet.
Je hebt mensen die worden vrolijk, je hebt mensen die worden agressief. En hij, wat dat betreft, werd hij gewoon een beetje agressief. En ook al won hij, dan zat hij gewoon iemand verrot te schelden. En dan kwam ik daar. En dan, hey coach, normaal. Weet je, een gespleten persoonlijkheid.
But I woke up in the morning and I had this huge lump in my pocket. And I haven't blacked out. I have no memory of the last night. And I get, it's my cell phone, and I pull out the big wad of cash like this. And I'm just like, what did I do last night? Thinking like I robbed a bank or something like that. You know, I never have a wad of cash like that. And I'm kind of in a panic, sweating for a little while, and I'm like, oh, yes, the casino. I called my friend in Switzerland. I'm like, I'm coming over, buddy. And of course, I spent it within like 12 hours. Big box of Cohibas, some expensive whiskey, you know, a little bit of nose candy. It's a good time.
Jacob Lenski is weer terug bij FC Utrecht. Tijdens een bezoek aan een vriend in Zwitserland werd vorige week zijn tas gestolen met daarin onder andere zijn paspoort. Daardoor kon hij het land niet meer uitkomen.
En toen zijn ze hem helemaal opgehaald in Zwitserland met de auto. Was hij alles kwijt, paspoort, tas. Heeft hij daar in parken geslapen. En toen hebben we hem via kunnen opsporen. En toen zijn we zonder paspoort zijn we gewoon de grens overgereden met hem weer terug naar Nederland.
Actually, I do have very much the urge to get back in the routine and just train and forget this.
Ja, en schuldbewust, ja, klopt. En stom. En, dus ja, en dan vergeet je toch wel gauw. Als we meteen door hadden gehad tot welk probleem het zich zou ontwikkelen bij hem, ja, dan hadden we wel anders gereageerd.
Ik had, ondanks dat hij een beetje in zichzelf was, altijd wel vrij goed contact met hem. En toch ook vrij veel 1-op-1 met hem gesproken, omdat je dan de problemen had gehoord van hoe of wat. Terwijl hij zich daar eigenlijk nooit over uitliet van nou, ik heb een drankprobleem. Alleen het andere probleem was dat als ik 's maandags op Zoudenballig kwam, het trainingscomplex, en ik deed mijn computer aan, ja, dan kreeg ik allerlei berichten van supporters van dat Lenski weer in Houten was gesignaleerd met een winkelwagen vol drank.
I was trying to convince everybody at Utrecht that I was clean and sober, which of course I was hiding my drinking. And you know, I called Bruno's Pizza, which was like my favorite place. You know, had that on speed dial, and I thought, I'd just sneak away with the 24-pack. Yeah, can you just add that to my order? And you know, looking outside the window, I didn't expect them to rat me out. But you know, the next day, Jan calls me into the office, and he's like, "So what'd you do yesterday?" I just watched the movies. You know, went to bed early. Yeah, you went to bed early. Yeah. Had some pizza. Yeah, and some beers too. I was just like, okay, I got busted. But yeah, I mean, I tipped the guy like 20 euros, like I was telling you. But you know, people love that juicy gossip, you know what I mean? They don't see you as a human being. They see that it's just irresistible, you know what I mean?
Er is iets geweest, wij kregen daar niet goed de vinger achter, maar wat hem enorm dwars zat. Heel veel onrecht, maar ook stressfactoren. Het presteren, dat kon hij wel, maar ja, als er maar iets veranderde of iets gebeurde, of weinig structuur in zijn leven. Dus als hij 1 of 2 dagen vrij was, dan heeft hij geen structuur en viel hij eigenlijk in dit verval. En dan gaat hij excessief drinken. Het was ook niet iedere dag. Maar we merkten dat het in 1 keer heel veel was.
Het meest bizarre wat ik met hem heb meegemaakt, vind ik, dat is natuurlijk met de wedstrijd die we speelden tegen PSV. We speelden om 12:30 uit bij PSV. En wij moesten natuurlijk altijd als eerste er zijn, want wij moeten voor het eten zorgen. En wij komen het complex oplopen. En dan ligt dus Jacob Lenski knalbezopen in die dugout.
Did players, did they notice much of that? Like, I felt like I got away with a lot of stuff, but I don't know how much the other players were hiding from me or not telling me, or what were they whispering about, you know?
We knew, Jake. That was not the problem. We even tried 1 or 2 times to talk to you about it, but as you say, you weren't receptive to it. So it was hard. And my way of viewing it is just because one does it, is it right or not? It's probably not the right way to be a professional soccer player. So just don't you do your thing and let him bother with that. So we try to be forgiving and try to help you in our way, or at least that's how I looked at it. I don't know. I can't speak for everybody. But that's.
I really appreciated it. You know, I didn't say that to the guys. I wish I did. You know, take the opportunity to really thank them for, you know, looking out for me and treating me well. I regret not being able to return that favor back to the team and back to the guys. You know, I felt like I kind of let them down. Just so in denial about my drinking problem. I still remember the doctor coming in, and this was when Utrecht was trying to convince me that I had a drinking problem. And I fully disagreed at that time. And the doctor comes in and sits beside me on the couch in my living room. And he's like, Jake, what do you think about your drinking problem? And I'm like, what drinking problem? And against my wall, there's a stack of those 24 cases all the way to the roof.
Hij moest toen een keer bij een rechtszaak voorkomen voor een schorsing bij de KNVB in Zeist. Daar stond de Kruik mee. En toen heeft hij moest naar het toilet. Toen heeft hij, na de hand heeft de Kruik daar nog een halve fles whisky gevonden op het toilet. Die had hij al helemaal leeg gedronken. Plus andere dingen die daar toen gevonden zijn.
Ton called me the morning after, and he's like, they found 2 whiskey bottles in the bathroom stall, and you were staring aggressively at the staff and everything, and I was like, oh fuck, did I do that?
Toen stond hij met de rug tegen de muur en wij niet meer. En toen hebben we gezegd van we gaan nu wel iets doen. Het is of het een of het ander. Dus ja, tussenin zit niks meer. Dus het is of we gaan er wat aan doen, jij gaat er wat aan doen. En als jij het niet wilt, dan is het jouw beslissing. Dan stopt het ermee. Dan stoppen we ermee. En hij wilde, ik zei, wil je stoppen? Hij zei, nee, ik wil niet stoppen. Ik zei, wat wil je dan? Hij zei, ik wil slagen.
Daarna is hij ook in die rehab gegaan. Helmond en Ruben Dekker, de sportpsycholoog, hebben ervoor gezorgd dat hij naar zo'n ontwenningskliniek kon gaan. Dat was triest.
I talked to Frank, the club doctor, on the phone, and I was in the newspaper. They were saying, "Well, you know what? We're going to give Jake all the support, and we're gonna help him get back on his feet." And I was thinking, like, wow, they're going to really give me a second chance again, or a third chance, or a fourth chance. And I was kind of like, okay, well, I'll go back after the Christmas break, and I call him, and then just to confirm, and he says, yeah, no, they don't want. Avoiding, I can't get a job, I can't go anywhere, I can't do anything in my life because it's all based around avoiding being sick. You know, it's not even about being high anymore. It's just about avoiding being sick. And then you're just stuck in fucking physical and mental hell. You know, this is like I was saying, this is the best of it. This is just the start. You know, then you're nearly shitting yourself. You're like physically, mentally, your back's hurting. Everything's just fucking painful. So this is the life of an addict. You know, it gets really old really fast. You know, this is like you gotta avoid this feeling every 12 hours, even less than that. You know, you gotta 4 times a day. Fuck. the stuff out there it's not even heroin anymore. It's fentanyl, which is like 100 times stronger. So I mean, the withdrawal is like even worse than it is with you'd have with heroin. Fuck. Even waiting 5 minutes is usually takes no time at all. But when you're in a state like this, every minute is like an hour. Because you're in just constant physical pain. And I mean, of course, you put yourself into it by being an addict, of course, I get it, but, you know, no one wants to be here.
I should have known.
Heftig. Dan vind ik het nog ongelooflijk hoe verzorgd hij er nog uitziet. En normaal gesproken, zoals je hoort hoe ziek hij zich voelt en wat hij moet doen. Dus toen hij bij ons binnenkwam en absoluut gebruik zou hebben, merkte hij ook niet zoveel aan hem.
Ja, de begeleiding ontstond eigenlijk pas toen we de problemen gingen onderkennen. Toen ontstond dat eigenlijk pas, maar ik denk dat we toen te laat waren.
Hij kwam weer in een negatieve spiraal terecht en daarna is het falikant fout gegaan. En toen hebben we ook gezegd, ja, nu moet ik ook een beslissing nemen. Nu is het klaar. We hebben er alles aan gedaan. We wilden je helpen. En we vinden het ook jammer. Omdat het is ook een leuke jongen. Het is echt waar. Als je hem goed kent, is het ook een leuke jongen. Maar dat kan niet meer.
Achteraf moet je dan in de spiegel kijken en naar Boy kijken. En zeggen van, ja, Boy had dat eerder door dan dat ik het door had. En die hebben het dan ook eigenlijk gewoon keihard gespeeld. En te zeggen van, ja, luister, hier gaan we niet meer verder.
De eerste keer was er nog twijfel, maar we gaan ermee aan de slag. Ik vind ook dat je dat moet doen. Maar de tweede keer vond ik het niet meer moeilijk. Toen ik zag wat daar was, toen zei ik van, ja, maar dit gaat boven onze pet. Hij moet naar huis. Hij moet naar huis. Dat is het eerste wat binnen opkwam. Hij moet naar huis, hij moet naar Canada. Hij moet naar zijn ouders.
A few hours before my flight, you know, I get a doorbell ringing and they won't go away. I open the door and there's Jan, Marianne, Ton de Krook, the club doctor. And Fuka's waiting outside because I think he thought that he was the only one that was going to get like a physical reaction or something like that, you know what I mean? And they pulled this piece of paper out and they said, Jake, you got to sign this before you go. And, well, what is it? And, well, your contract's over and you can't do any interviews or say anything bad about Utrecht. And I was kind of shocked that they thought that I was going to go out and say anything bad about Utrecht, but because I had nothing but good things to say about Utrecht my entire time. But yeah, it was really heartbreaking because I was in such a terrible state. And they could see the house was torn down. There were holes in the doors from me punching holes through them. It was a zoo. It was hell.
Ja, dat was wel heel mensonterend om te zien. En toen hebben we ook wel staan huilen met z'n allen om iemand zo af te zien glijden.
And I could see tears in the eyes of Jan Wouters, of Ton de Krook. Fuka didn't even come in. You know, I mean, on one hand, Fuka was kind of a hard ass towards me, but I think he didn't want to see that scene either. He didn't want to see me in the shape that I was. Nobody did. It's like you wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy. You know, that kind of personal hell that you're in. So yeah, that was a really sad moment. You know, I kind of just signed the papers and just walked upstairs, and that was it.
Yeah, that'd be solid, man. How quick do you think you could pull that off? I don't know. It'd probably be like 25 minutes. Cool, man. Peace.
Yes! Why I became destructive, I think it was just that wick was set when I was a young kid. You know, when I was learning that zero self-esteem, zero idea of another life, you know, no self-identity type of thing. It was a wick that was burning for a very, very long time, and then finally just exploded once I was in a professional environment, you know. You know, the really great players, the Dries Mertens and these type of things, they're motivated internally, you know? They don't have to be convinced by anybody. They don't have to be pushed by anybody. That motivation to be the best and be the best they can be is just, that comes from inside, you know? And I never had that at all. You know, my motivation came from my dad offering me a pellet gun if I scored 10 goals or something like that.
Kijk, als jij geen goede jeugd hebt gehad, of je hebt problemen met je moeder gehad, of je hebt problemen met je vader gehad, en je wordt dan teruggestuurd naar, tussen aanhalingstekens, die veilige wereld, terwijl hij een bloedhekel had aan zijn vader. Alles wat zijn vader zei, dat accepteerde hij gewoon niet. Daar zei hij, kom bij weer aan. Dan denk ik niet dat je hem naar een veilige wereld terugbrengt. Dan denk ik dat je hem eerder meer in de armen stuurt van de heroïne en de drank.
It's funny how all my music idols are also died from heroin. Kurt Cobain, Layne Staley, Chris Cornell. Who's the guy for the Stone Temple Pilots? Scott Weiland. You know, these guys are all my favorites, and it's kind of, I guess, I don't know, maybe I idolized them too much and kind of got too curious about doing heroin.
Sometimes I think some of these young lads don't realize what a good thing they have. You know, there's lots of us that get up early and work, and it's a hard slog, and it seems like to us doing their life is a dream. So I just wish someone had said, you know, you're living a dream.
Hey, brother.
Yeah, for this time, okay?
Appreciate it, brother.
All right, for sure. I can't do that next time.
Okay, thanks, bud. It's not the physical sensation or the physical feeling. It's the emotional kind of weight lifted off. That's the most seductive thing for me. You know, after you do this long enough, it's not even about that kind of, you know, head rush or whatever, but yeah, just start to kind of enjoy life again. But it's only for a short time, right? Only for half an hour, you know? Is it really worth throwing away your life? You know, your relationships, anything that's ever important to you, any hopes, dreams? It's gonna be all gone. But yeah, maybe you don't feel that pain or whatever, because it's, you know, I think it was like the stats are like 90% of people that get into opiates, you know, they had some sort of trauma in their past, you know? So people self-medicate with this stuff because it takes that emotional pain away. When he was happy, my life was easy. You know, I still remember sometimes if I played bad, be playing, he'd come home and rip the computer out of the wall, rip the Nintendo, take my Dungeons and Dragons books, and anything that was a distraction to soccer. Or, you know, making me run hills, or, you know, yeah, life was not nice.
Laat dit ook een les zijn voor ouders die tegenwoordig langs de lijn en ook verwachting hebben van hun zoon. Laat ze lekker hun gang gaan en niet te veel druk opleggen. Maar dit heb ik nooit geweten, dat zijn vader eigenlijk zo'n tiran was op dat gebied in ieder geval.
Het is jammer dat Jacob voetballer is geworden. Ja.
Ja, dit is in en in triest. Dit gun je niemand. En ik hoop ook... ik woon nu in Frankrijk. Hij is bij mij altijd van harte welkom. Ik wil zelfs ook bij wijze van spreken zijn ticket nog betalen als hij een keer hier naartoe kan komen. Dat die jongen het hier naar zijn zin heeft. En dat het goed met hem gaat, weet je wel. En dat hij van die, op zijn Nederlands te zeggen, van die tyfuszooi afblijft.
Over the last year, I've once again found myself in the storm of self-destruction. If there's one thing I've learned by now, it's when I'm caught in this storm, I close the hatch, hold on until the worst is past, and if I survive, then usually the sun shines again.
Toch gemist? Ga naar foxsports.nl/.